Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network and In Session Film. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast, a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
My name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I think I went out of order. Sorry, everybody. But
no, you're in the right order.
I'm in the right order. Oh, I got a look from Evan. I guess I've misinterpreted that. So this is a long-winded way of saying I'm Dave. My pronouns are he, him, and whatever Boston film. You know what I am. Come on.
My name is Evan Crean. Pronouns are he, him. Co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s movie guide, Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You know, I was just going to say, I know you're like, everybody knows who I am, and they probably do, but what if this is somebody's first time listening?
Yeah.
Well, then they're going to be like, this podcast is irreverent. I like these people.
Yeah, they're going to be like, that guy's a joker. I'm in.
I was speaking to the regular listeners, not to like randos.
We love you too, randos.
Yeah, the randos are great. Stop being a rando and be a reg. Come on.
Nothing like some good old peer pressure.
Exactly. Do it.
Listen more. Speaking of listening more, we want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor piece, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
And if you like the show, love the show, and you're not yet a patron, and thank you if you are, for $5 a month, we do bonus episodes. And this week, we are talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 1997 slasher horror film. And we had a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. And part of the reason we're talking about that is because the legacy sequel, also called I Know What You Did Last Summer, is coming out. And we will be talking about that on this week's show. We're also going to be talking about the queer romance drama Unicorns and the sci-fi romance Daniela Forever. So let's kick things off with I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 2025 version. This is a slasher horror, just like the original, and it's directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson, who did Do Revenge. And the screenplay is by Sam Lansky and Jennifer Caton Robinson, along with the story by Leah McKendrick and Robinson. And it stars a whole bunch of people, but I'm going to try to be brief about who is in this cast. Madeline Klein, Chase Suey Wonders, Jonah Hauer King, Tyreek Withers, and Sarah Pigeon, along with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt, who were in the original. And I'm going to read the synopsis from the press release, and then I'm going to have Evan take it away because he is the only one of us who got the pleasure and privilege and all that jazz to see it this week. So here is the synopsis. When 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. Uh-oh. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer, ... and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one, the friends are stalked by a killer. They discover this has happened before, and they turn to 2 survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help.
Yep.
Okay, Evan, take it away. Tell us what we need to know. Share your thoughts, all that good stuff.
All right. So this movie opens with an engagement party. Teddy and Danica are getting engaged. Our main character, Ava, is coming back to town for this engagement party. So are their other friend, Milo, who Ava used to date. And they're at this engagement party. They're having a good time. And then they're like, all right, after party, let's go hang out. So they're going to go watch the fireworks because it's 4th of July. Gonna smoke some weed. And then they see Stevie, who's there, who used to be in their friend group. And she's like working the party. And they're like, come on, Stevie, come hang out with us. She's like, all right, cool. They like convince her. And they all go, like, they're hanging out on the big curvy road that we know from the original. And they're smoking weed. And one of the guys, Teddy, is being a dick and like standing in the middle of the road, and like a car almost hits him, like comes very close, like, and he's kind of playing chicken with the car. And then he's still sitting in the road, and another car comes and it veers off the road, it crashes into the guardrail, and it's like a truck that's like teetering over the edge, and they're like, oh shit. So they like run over and they're like trying to like help the person out of the car, and they can't, and the car falls.
Oh shit.
And yeah, so then they're like, oh shit. So like Teddy is rich, so he like calls his dad, because I think his dad's, I forget what it is, he's pretty powerful in the town, and he's like, my dad will like make this go away for us, but you know, we're just gonna leave the scene and go to the police station. And the other people are gonna like, okay, like that makes sense, we should just go to the police station and give our statement. And then they like get in the car and start driving, and then he just like drives them home, and they're like, the fuck? And he's like, no, actually my dad's just gonna make this all go away, we're just gonna act like none of us were there. And so yeah, they're not happy about it. Like Ava, our main character, is like really not happy about it, very morally conflicted about this. Everyone else is kind of like on board with it, particularly Stevie was like, yeah, I have a record, like I'm not rich like you guys, like I don't have anybody to bail me out, let's sweep this under the rug. So it's a year later, and guess what? Danica is having another engagement party, or a bridal shower, but she's not engaged to Teddy anymore. She's engaged to a new guy. Because we find out that Teddy like totally like lost his, went out of his mind, and they've broken up. So she has this like new like douchey preppy guy that she's engaged to, and everyone's back together for this bridal shower. And then that's when she's like at the bridal shower opening up her presents, she gets a card, just like, she's like, oh, who's this from? And then she opens up, it's like, I know what you did last summer. And then, like cue them like getting into all the stuff. So it starts out with like the new fiance gets murdered by, he gets shot with a harpoon gun, and then like really messed up with like the hook and stuff like that. And, it sets in motion them all like being stalked by the killer with the hook and the fisherman's slicker. And there's a girl who comes to town who's like running a true crime podcast who Ava hooks up with, and like literally hooks up. Like the first time we see them, they're like hooking up in like an airport bathroom, and then like, yeah,
very 6 feet under.
So then, so they like link up with her for a little bit, but then she gets killed by, they're like going back to the department store, which is now like a restaurant, and she gets killed by the killer, and they're all like running around getting chased by the killer. And then at some point they're like, oh, we gotta like go to the people who like survived this before. So Stevie works at a bar which is owned by Ray, Freddie Prinze Jr., and so he's like offering to help. And then Ava goes to like Julie, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's like a professor now, who's like, I forget what she's a professor of, but I think she's talking about like trauma and shit.
Killing.
And she's like, I don't want to get involved at first. And then she's kind of like, okay, well, like my advice to you is like, I'm not going to get involved, but you got to go like find out who the killer is. Like you got to basically like stalk them and figure out who the hell they are, so you can like get them before they get you. And so, yeah, the rest of the movie is like them like running around trying to figure out what's going on, getting stalked by the killer, being killed off one by one until it's basically down to like Danica and Ava are the last two. And there's this whole like subplot also about how the new mayor of the town, played by Billy Campbell, has basically like swept all the town's like bloody past under the rug, and like turned it into like, like it made it like a real estate paradise, like where, tourism's booming and people are buying property. And so that's like an element of the plot too. And let's see. So yeah, they're all getting killed off, and then they basically are running away. Freddie Prinze Jr. tells them tells Danica and Ava to like get the fuck out of here, just run away, get on a boat. So they get on a boat with Stevie, and then they're like going away, and then it turns out that Stevie is a killer. She's the killer. She's been stalking them because it was her boyfriend that was in the car that went off the cliff, and like she loved him, and she was like into drugs, and he helped her get clean. And there's also, sorry, I'm getting some stuff out of order, but they also thought that maybe like the pastor of the town was killing the people because he was connected with the guy who died, and they thought like maybe he was killing people because he's kind of creepy. but he turns up dead.
A creepy pastor?
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, it's Stevie, and they're like, oh my God, like Stevie is like, Danica gets knocked into the water and you think that she's dead, and Freddie Prinze Jr. shows up and he shoots Stevie and she falls in the water. And so it's like Ava and Ray, and they're sitting together at like Ray's bar. And then Ava is starting to put together that Stevie couldn't have been doing this alone. And that Stevie's not the only killer. And dun dun dun, Ray is the other killer. So
What?
Freddie Prinze Jr. is the killer too.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So he comes after Ava and like basically like gets, stabs her, and of course at this point Julie has figured out what's going on. So Jennifer Love Hewitt shows up and saves the day, and they take out Ray together. And like the end is like them being like, okay, phew, we survived, thank God. And then there's like a post-credit sequence where Brandy is sitting at home watching the news and sees this shit happening, and she's like, oh my God, my roommate, like someone tried to kill her again. And she's like, man, this girl can't catch a break, like this sucks. And then her doorbell rings, and it's Jennifer Love Hewitt shows up, and she's like, hey, like, guess what? We thought like we were done being stalked, but they're like, there's some new note that she has, like, and they're both like, all right, let's do it. Let's fuck them up, whoever they are. Like, that's where the movie ends, is them being like, let's fuck them up.
Let's fuck them up. This is amazing.
They literally say something like that. They're like, who are we going to fuck up?
Do we know why Ray went off the deep end?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they explain it as twofold, and I think this is a problem with the movie. It's not really convincing reasons for Ray going off the deep end. So one is that he feels some type of like ownership of as a parental figure for Stevie. Like there's some like lines where he's like, oh, I promised your dad I'd take care of you, Stevie, and he's like pissed that she lost everything, and these group of friends like totally like killed the person that she cared about. And they also, like, when they were in high school, they kind of like cast her aside out of the friend group. And so she just felt like really upset about that. And then the other thing that he says is that he's pissed that like this town is like collectively gaslit him and been like, we just swept all the bloody past under the rug, and like you try to erase our history and what happened to us, and you try to basically say like what happened to us didn't happen to us, and we don't exist. And so it's like those are his like two reasons for becoming the killer. And it's like it doesn't add up. It doesn't make any kind of sense. Especially because it's like he kills the podcaster, and it's like if he wanted people to find out about what was going on, shouldn't he not kill the podcaster? Wouldn't it be good to like give the podcaster an interview and spread the word? Because there's like conversation like, oh well, like they scrubbed the internet, so like you can't really find stuff about what happened here in 1997. They like totally buried it. But like meanwhile, this podcaster knows about it. She's there, like she's like investigating. So it's weird. It's an interesting choice to have him turn bad, but it's not done well. Like it's not explained well. And like there's like a line later where someone's like, just imagine like if men had just gone to therapy, none of this would have happened. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't add up here.
I will say though, I do agree with that men need to go to therapy and should.
Oh, absolutely. That's
sure.
that's not in contention.
I like that message.
Yeah, that's not in contention. So yeah, this movie, I really wanted to like it a lot more than I did. So here's some good things about it. It's more like bigger cast. So like there's more people. It's more diverse. Like there's like more female characters, more like diversity of people in it. Like our lead is bi or pan. Like there's some things where it's like, okay, they made some attempts to like make this a little bit more like a larger group of people, like some more texture to some of their backstories. But like the accident itself feels kind of weak sauce because they're trying to save the guy before he falls off the cliff. It's not like they pushed him off the cliff and they don't regret it. Like, the first one where it's like, they basically like the guy's alive and they're like, drown him, get rid of him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it already like lacks a little bit of the oomph from that. And then like the kills are just kind of bland and boring and not interesting. Like when the harpoon gun shows up in the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, maybe the harpoon gun is gonna be the thing, not the hook, but like the hook is still very much like part of the killing. And it's just like the kills aren't interesting. And it just feels like they try to go to places that other legacy sequels have already gone and done better. Like they try to be a little bit of like a meditation on trauma when you see like Julie's having these like flashbacks, these like traumatic images, like the bodies in the ice and stuff like that. And, it's just like Halloween did it better. The new Scream movies did it better in terms of like weaving in prior, cast members into new stories and making it feel cohesive. And yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. Like I really wanted to like this a lot more than I did. It just felt very kind of like meh, just meh, like bland kills, not very interesting update to the story, and just squanders the idea of having one of them become the killer, because it just doesn't really logically make sense why he would become a killer after having gone through all of that shit.
Yeah. Interesting.
You both seem really surprised though by that twist.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised.
I don't know that I was. I mean, I'm kind of surprised because it's stupid, and why would you make that choice? But
I mean, yes, that's why I'm surprised.
But
because it doesn't make sense for the character.
As far as like, I feel like there's some other legacy sequel that did that turned a survivor into the killer. Am I making this up? Or maybe it was in one of the original slashers. Beats the shit out of me.
Blank.
I know. I should have. Well, I didn't know that was what you were going to tell us, so I couldn't have looked it up. But
right.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were unimpressed. It does sound like it's. I mean, that is pretty dumb.
Yeah. I mean, it had some noble intentions, I think. I like that Danica and Ava are kind of like co-final girls at the end, that they both end up surviving. Because like Danica falls overboard and she ends up washing up on the beach like a little bit later, and she's alive. And then it turned out that Stevie also went overboard and didn't die. So she's like locked up. But at the end, it's kind of like Danica and Ava are like, they've gotten out of the hospital together and they're like, oh, I'm hungry. Let's like go get a bite. And they're just like sitting on the beach, like eating food and just kind of being like, we're badass. We survived this. This is pretty sweet, right?
Well, I am kind of curious though what the sequel could possibly be. And I think it's hilarious that they brought Brandy back too.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I mean, like, they probably won't, because who knows if this will make enough money. But if they do, like, I would be totally on board for watching that sequel.
Yeah. I just like the idea that, she's watching the news and then Julie rings the doorbell. Although I was really hoping that you would say, and then Julie pulls out a knife and stabs Brandy in the chest. Because why not have them both be killers,
Yeah. That's a little too off the rails for my taste.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because it seems like so often certain filmmaker or some filmmakers feel like they have to have a twist for the sake of having a twist. And it feels like they're contorting that character into, well, he didn't go to therapy, so he became unhinged and now he's a killer. And now it's a big twist. And it's like, well, no, I love a good twist, an earned twist, but not just, let's just make this character evil when he was good before. It's weird.
And it's honestly, it's not that surprising because it's like when the podcast girl gets killed, she pulls the mask off of the killer and says, "Oh, it's you." And it's like, who else could that possibly be? You know what I mean? Like, who else would she recognize? Because like she's met some of the people in this crew, but like, no, it's like there's really only like one person that she would probably already recognize.
That's very Friday the 13th, though. Which I'm not surprised, because I know what you did last summer. The original paid homage to earlier slashers, so this one is probably doing the same too. Because like it's not a harpoon gun, but it's in Mutilator, it's a gaff, and so it's like a hooked fishing gun, and that's used to kill somebody. So anyway, maybe that's what they were going for, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. The last Dirty Harry, the Deadpool. Harry kills the main killer with a harpoon. It's pretty awesome.
Not his typical gun.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, Evan, do you have any final thoughts or should we move on?
No, let's move on.
All right. Wow, I don't know why that shocked me as much as it did, but that really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about Unicorns, which Evan, you and I saw. And this is a queer romance drama. It is directed by James Krishna Floyd and Sally El Hosseini, and it is written by James Krishna Floyd. And it stars Ben Hardy and Jason Patel in his feature film debut. And here's the synopsis. Unicorns tells the story of a cross-cultural romance about a single father from Essex, England, who works as an auto mechanic, and a British Indian drag queen living a double life. Ben Hardy is Luke, forced to rethink his sexual identity when he unexpectedly falls in love with Aisha, played by Jason Patel. Yeah, that is exactly what happens. The movie opens with Luke having sex in a field with a woman, and he's like, "Oh, I'll give you a ride home," and she's like, "No, let's keep it casual." And like, okay, I guess you can't have a ride home.
It's quite the opening to the movie, by the way. It's just like, oh, I'm looking at blades of grass. I'm like, oh my God, there's two people fucking like right in front of me.
Yeah, they're going to town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, so Luke is at a restaurant and he's just eaten and he pays, and then he goes to the bathroom and it's like downstairs. And then he hears some like kind of like bumping music. So he opens the door in like the hallway, the bathroom hallway, or in the bathroom, I'm not sure, but somewhere around that area. And then he immediately enters this nightclub and he is mesmerized and intoxicated by the music and the lights. And then he sees Aisha dancing on stage and he is immediately drawn to her and is smitten. And then they talk after her show, and then they go outside, and then they make out. And then she's clearly a well-known drag queen in the community because someone's like, "Hey, Aisha, can I have a picture with you?" And so as she's taking the selfie with this fan, Luke notices her Adam's apple and then looks around and sees two men kissing and then is like, "Oh, shit. She's not a woman," and he kind of freaks out. And yeah, and so then he takes off and Aisha's pissed off because, you know, he has this homophobic reaction. And then he is working later on at his father's garage where he's a mechanic. And I should also mention he's a single dad because the mom has like kind of taken off and lives somewhere else. But she then later in the movie comes back in the picture and wants to be an active mom again. But anyway, so Luke is at the garage and he's working on a car and Aisha shows up because she doesn't drive. She doesn't have a car. And one of her exes always would drive her around, and then her ex is pissed because she was making out with Luke and he doesn't like that. So he's like, "Screw you, get your own ride." And so she shows up at Luke's job to get a ride, to offer him a job so he can drive her around to her shows. And he's like, "How'd you find me?" And she's like, "Well, you said you were from Essex, and Luke, and you said your name, and this is the only garage with your name in Essex." So
yeah.
So anywho, so yeah, and so he starts driving her around, and then later in the film, kind of becoming like her loose bodyguard when guys get too handsy, and she works parties and she dances at clubs, and they spend a lot of time together and have fun and have a flirtation and things. Their relationship their feelings grow stronger. And they go to a carnival with his son and Aisha there, and they have a great time. And his son, Jamie, really likes Aisha. And also one of the things that happens is at this party, this like private rich person party, Aisha's there and so are her friends most of whom are drag queens. And then there's another group of drag queens, including one who's a rival, and they get into a fist fight in the like driveway.
Yeah.
And one of the drag queens rips off Aisha's wig, and which is glued down, so it obviously is like extremely painful. And then Aisha is sitting, like she tries to like punch her and then does like kick her and punch her and like break her nose. And so it's like a disaster, like a whole big thing. And so, which then comes back later because her and Luke have sex. And then instead of just basking in that nice glow of, you know, pleasure, love, all those cozy feelings, the rival drag queen is at the door, and Aisha opens the door and throws acid in her face. And so she's burned. And then,
What?
Yeah. So then she has to go to the hospital. And so I should say she lives mostly as a drag queen. She's mostly femme presenting, where she is in full drag, but the drag in this community is different. It's different. And I was reading the press notes that in the Gaysian community, as they call this in the movie and in London, a lot of the drag queens are more, quote, realistic, rather than the kind of like over the top performative like femininity in the US. And because it was interesting because, you know, I'm like, I know drag queens go by she, her gender pronouns when they're in drag, but then quite often if they're, you know, a cis man, they go by male pronouns. But Aisha never really does and never goes by her male name, although sometimes she does. And when she goes to visit her family, she's not in drag. She then goes by her old name and goes by he, him pronouns. And so there's a real fluidity to her gender and to her gender presentation. And her family is very strict, very conservative Muslim. And they don't know that Aisha is gay. And so that's a struggle for Aisha. And Luke is struggling with the fact that he didn't know that he was queer. And so but he's falling in love with Aisha. And so there's all of these things happening. And so then they get into a fight because Aisha does not want Luke around, seeing him with his scars from the acid attack, and he goes to live back home. But then, spoiler alert, they reconcile. So there's a lot happening here. Evan, what did you think?
Megan, I want to hear from you first, since I just talked through. I know.
Okay. Well, thank you. I liked this. I like the performances. I think that Luke and Aisha, so Ben Hardy and Jason Patel, I think have good chemistry. I liked their interactions. Like when the movie focuses on them and their kind of tender moments, that's when I think the film works best. And I really liked that. I'm glad I read about the drag scene in the Gaysian community in London, because there was something really off-putting about what was going, because I was like, I kind of got the sense, I was like, but drag queens and trans women are different. And is Aisha a trans woman? I don't know. And it's interesting because Drew Burnett Gregory, who is a trans woman and a film critic, that was one of her critiques of this film, was that it never, while gender and sexual fluidity are quite common, of course, it feels almost like the character of Aisha is being played like in drag, but a closeted trans woman, but it's never quite clear. And I kind of had that sense too. But then when I was reading more about how drag culture is different, I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. And this is based on a person that that one of the directors knew, and there was a rival, I guess, drag person. Like, so a lot of this is not factual, but it's based on some true things, which kind of I guess maybe appreciate this film more. But yeah, overall I liked this. I mostly liked it when it focuses on their romance, and I really liked Ben Hardy's performance as Luke.
Yeah, I was also really into this movie.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I really liked the lead performances. I thought there was a real strong chemistry between them, pretty much from the jump.
Yes.
But I liked seeing them get to know each other with the kind of like night drives that they were doing together.
Yes.
And although I know Luke struggles with his identity and he definitely has moments of homophobia, sometimes violent homophobia, like when I think Karen, that rivaled, I think that's her name, the rival drag queen, like tries to put her hands on him, and he is very like, get the fuck off me, and very physical. I thought he ultimately, I thought he was a really like sweet, caring guy, and like really, fell for Aisha. Like, as even after the accident, like that didn't scare him away one bit. Like he was there, and it's like Aisha pushes him away, and it's like, no, I don't want. And he keeps calling, like he's still calling her and leaving messages, and like he has to like go to the friends to like track her. He tracks her down at her family's house, and goes and finds a really like tactful way to go and talk to the family and say, oh, I'm friends with Ash. That's what Aisha goes by with her family. Oh, I'm friends with Ash. We're buddies. Like, I'm worried about him. I haven't seen him. I want to go check on him, and convinces them to like let him, take him so they can go out together and just sit and talk. And I thought that was like really sweet that he bought the lipstick for Aisha.
Yes, I know. It was really sweet. It's sweet at the end too, like, because when Aisha's like, I can't go with you, and Luke is so upset, but then later she shows up and she's back in drag, back femme presenting, and then they reconcile. It's very sweet.
Yeah, it is. They have like a make out at the garage. The movie ends with them like making out at the. My last note here was they totally make out.
They do totally make out.
Yeah, totally make out. And I like that moment. It's like Luke is working on the car and he hears the heels like coming up behind him, and he knows immediately that it's her.
I know. It is. It's very, very sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a sweet movie. There's great performances by the leads. I liked all the supporting characters too. I thought they were really interesting. His family, I really thought the actor who played Aisha's mom was really great too.
Yeah.
And the like moments that we get to see them together, like when they're dancing together and hanging out, and Aisha's like helping her with her makeup.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I really dug this movie. I don't know how much more I have to say other than I just thought it was really great. It sucked me in. It was captivating. It held my attention, and I was all about it from start to finish. Like, I was just really into it.
Yeah. I feel conflicted about the violence in the film, because I'm like, God damn it, can't we just have, a moment of queer joy and queer love without the specter of violence? Having said that, I know that, and again, this is where I bump up against, the depiction of Aisha as drag queen versus a trans woman. And as far as I know, Aisha's not trans. Having said that, though, there is so much violence towards trans people. Absolutely heartbreaking amount. And so it kind of like it feels true, but also I'm like, can't we just have a nice moment? God damn it.
Yeah, it is a bummer when Karen shows up and throws the acid in her face. Like that, it's just it's truly heartbreaking moment. It's a gutting, it's devastating. It's a real gut punch.
Yeah.
In the film.
Also considering that in certain communities, women are burned with acid. They're punished, for going to school or for what they're wearing or whatever it is. Like that felt even more insidious and more violent because it's a knock on Aisha's femininity, and it's just it's just
I think Karen knew all those things.
Oh
and
yeah.
that she
Oh
knew,
yeah.
aside from being just a horribly physical, painful attack, that it would be hurtful on so many different levels.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, awful. But their romance is very sweet, which is great. And I kept waiting for Luke to do something stupid, and he didn't. He never did anything stupid.
Yeah, other than some of the initial stuff where he's like, "Are you the T word?" And she's like, "Don't ever fucking use that word again."
Yes. Yes.
Don't you ever fucking say that again.
I know. I love that she immediately corrects him. And I also really like something. He says something. I don't remember what. And she goes, "Actually, I'm a top." And I was like, again, I love that because he made an assumption about, her preferences. So love that too. Yeah. So yeah, this film is exploring some interesting things regarding gender, queerness, sexuality, all of that. So yeah, I liked this.
Yeah, and I think accurately depicting that exploration and can be very messy.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes. Yeah. I was reading your mind.
It's messy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. There are no clear-cut answers, and it's not a straight line.
Straight line.
I know.
Haha. But then also, Luke is not, it doesn't just suddenly he's like, "I'm queer," you know what I mean? It's so much a process for him that he's kind of dipping in and out and having very conflicting thoughts and feelings.
Right.
It's not like he just has some revelation one day and it's all figured out.
Right. Which feels so much more realistic and authentic. And also what I think is really fascinating is because clearly he's enamored with Aisha as a person. Yes. But what's fascinating is when he's with his guy friend, and the guy friend's girlfriend or another female friend is there, and they're sharing a vape or something. And then he's like, no, let me show you how to do it. And he gets really close to Luke, and they share smoke, and you can see Luke's face oh, uh-oh. And he's processing because he's confronting all of his new feelings. So I thought that was kind of a nice moment, an interesting touch. Ooh, how do I navigate this now? What am I feeling?
Right, yeah. Yeah, you can see the look on his face oh, I'm kind of into this if we might kiss, but I can't reveal any of those feelings because this guy would not be on board with that. I also this movie, it doesn't explicitly state, but I feel anytime he's around that friend, and you could kind of tell that he hates how shitty that guy is to his girlfriend.
Yes.
He's kind of in his head, he's thinking you're a misogynist prick, and this girl should dump you. But he never says any of it, but I feel you just pick up that vibe the entire time from him.
Yeah. Well, I feel you get a similar vibe towards the end of the film when Luke walks in and he sees his dad with his son, and they're watching I think they're watching a football game, and he's being really aggressive with his son, and yeah, they're gonna kill him, and it's kind of toxic masculinity, and Luke's I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that is a great moment. He comes in, he sees it happening, and he does the tiptoe out and gently close the door I was never here.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of the Homer Simpson's dad when he comes in and immediately loops around and goes right back out the door.
Or when Homer even creeps back into the shrubs.
yes, into the bushes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but it's and I was wondering watching this, is that him? Has he always been that way and always been uncomfortable? Or has Aisha opened his mind and opened his perspective, and he's seeing things in a new way? And I don't know if it really matters, but I like that the film is doing these things in kind of more subtle ways to kind of expand the character and his experience and perspective. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely them meeting has opened up some doors for him. Although I get the sense that he maybe wasn't on board for a lot of those types of things, but he was kind of a go along to get along kind of person. He was just kind of I'm not gonna make waves, even though I'm not that person.
Right. Yeah. Like I gotta put the shield of machismo, around myself. Yeah. No, I very much got that vibe too. But Aisha's self-acceptance kind of seems like it emboldens him to be more himself. But I also like that it's not just focusing on Luke's journey in this film. It also very much is focusing on Aisha and how Aisha reconciles this dual identity and how she navigates her life and hiding it from her family. And I like that it explores that too. So we get to see each of these characters and their arcs and their perspectives. And I think that that's great too.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts?
No.
All right. Well, let's talk about our third and final film for the show, Daniela Forever. And all three of us saw this. Woohoo!
Woo!
I can finally hear from Dave. I'm very excited. I'm still excited no matter what. So this is a sci-fi romance. It's written and directed by Nacho Vigalondo. The cast features Henry Golding, Beatriz Grano, Ara Garrido, Ruben Ochan Diano, and Natalie Posa. And here is the synopsis. Grieving the loss of his girlfriend Daniela, Nicholas is consumed by sorrow. He sees a glimmer of hope when he's offered a chance to participate in a groundbreaking sleep therapy that simulates reality. But as dream and memory blur, he must confront what healing really means and whether he's ready to let go. So, yeah, the film opens and you hear Daniela's voice, and she's like, let's start here. And then you see her dancing in a club, and you see a DJ, and then Nick comes over and he's the DJ, and they're each talking, and they're talking about the moment they met. And Daniela first saw him when he was DJing, but he didn't notice her until later at this event or party. And so they're talking about that. And then the movie shifts and it changes to what looks like 8mm, and that's the reality. And Nick is distraught. He's devastated because Daniela was hit by a car while she was waiting for a bus. And he's very upset and berates himself that she had called him and he didn't answer the phone. And he's convinced himself that if he just answered the phone, she would still be alive. And that's upsetting. And so he's going through the motions, meeting with friends, and he's also been meeting up with, we later learn, I think her name is Tessa, and we later learn that's Teresa, thank you. And we later learn that that's Daniela's ex-girlfriend from before when they were together, before Nick and Daniela were together. And so he's really just going through the motions, having a terrible time. And so one of his friends who's a therapist suggests him for this sleep study because she's undergone it and she's been she signed an NDA. She can't talk about it, but if she suggests him for it, she can finally sort of loosely talk about it. She can say that there is a study. And so she refers him and he goes, and then he's got to read all these documents and he's got to sign all these forms, so he won't divulge what's going on, won't talk about it. And he's got to take these pills right before he's going to fall asleep. And then he can have lucid dreaming where he can do whatever he wants in this dream and navigate his dreams and have them conform to what he wants. And so when the lucid dreaming is happening, that's when it's in the regular aspect ratio and the film actually looks pristine rather than kind of shitty 8mm type look.
Yeah, grainy. Yeah.
Yes. So he starts dreaming and he dreams about Daniela, but he doesn't tell the sleep study team, the doctors, that because he's supposed to report back everything that he dreams about. And he doesn't. He's like, oh, I was a kid. And he lies and never mentions her.
Yeah.
But he dreams about her, and then what he also finds is that he can change the world how he wants. Like if it's daytime, he can change it to night. He can, if somebody pops up, that he can have them disappear. But also there's like this weird moving gray mass behind like certain buildings, certain books. And he discovers that if he hasn't actually seen like behind a door or opened a certain book, then the gray kind of moving mass is what is shown because he's never seen it for himself. So this takes place in Madrid, and he starts going around the city of Madrid to look at various buildings so he can expand the world that he and Daniela live in during this lucid dreaming. And it's all fine and good at the start, but then he becomes more creepy and controlling as he's like, no, you don't care about that, to Daniela. And she starts like asking questions or having opinions. He's like, no, you don't care about that. No, don't talk about that. No. And then she wants to go see Teresa. And he's like, no, you can't go see her. And then it just escalates more and more and more, where then eventually he's like, you don't even know her, and erases her from Daniela's memory in this lucid dream state. He like creates this life for Daniela where like because she's an aspiring artist when she was alive, and now she's a successful artist at a gallery opening for her work. And Daniela is confused because she didn't go on this actual journey because she didn't live that life. So it gets more and more, he gets more and more controlling. His dream state and his reality start to kind of collide, and it's a whole fucking mess.
He gets in trouble with the sleep study people.
Yes, they want to sue him.
They want to sue him because they know that he's not doing the assignments, and they're like, you have to come in, you have to tell us everything that's going on, and we know you have one more pill. You have to bring that pill. And he's like, nope, takes it anyway. And then within the dream world, he runs to the place and robs them of their pills and is taking pills inside the dreamland.
Yes, he is. And and then it gets even weirder. And we were talking about this before the show, and I'm sure we'll talk about it here too. But it's open to interpretation what happens in the end, because he feels terrible that he's done all these awful things in the dream state to Daniela. And he talked with his therapist friend, and she was like, the whole point was to break you from your dependence of Daniela, and you've just gone even deeper into your dependence. And so he realizes, he's like, I know what I need to do. And then instead of following his dreaming, you follow Daniela's dreaming, and she's with Teresa, because at one point earlier in the film, in the dream world, she said to him, I'm so sorry, but I'm still in love with Teresa and I want to be with her. And so then that's how the film ends. The film ends with the two of them together in this dream state, and you see Nick one more time, but he like vanishes. So let's get into it. Dave, we have not heard from you at all. What did you think?
Well, it's really hard to say nice things about a movie where you find the main character to be a complete and total fucking asshole. So now I don't begrudge anybody their grief. But like Nick is really unsympathetic to the point that it's just like, what's the movie that it I mean, it's kind of like Ruby Sparks when Paul Dano goes off the edge, like off the deep end at the end, and he's just like typing all those things in a row for her to be. And of course he kind of comes to his senses then, but I feel like you let Daniela go in the dream world, but the dream world's not real. I know that they're the real world and the dream world are, overlapping or something like that. But I took it to mean that Henry was actually becoming, not Henry Golding is the actor, that Nick was actually kind of becoming psychotic because of the effects of the drugs.
Oh, that's a different interpretation. Okay. Because
I think that leans more toward my feeling that I just don't like this guy and fuck him, I think I might also have a Henry Golding problem. I don't know if I've ever seen him in a movie that I've been like, this guy's good, or in a good movie. I mean, I don't remember Crazy Rich Asians even a little bit. I know I saw it, and I don't really remember A Simple Plan, except that he's Blake Lively's husband, but then he starts hooking up with Anna Kendrick.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So it's like he's burned in my brain as like a philanderer and like a bland romantic lead. But I also felt like this movie was it was so derivative of, like I said, Ruby Sparks. I would throw an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yep.
Not entirely similar, but the whole idea of like altering your reality
and erasing people.
And then there's this English movie from the late 80s or the early 90s that Anthony Minghella wrote and directed called Truly Madly Deeply. And Alan Rickman plays this dead guy who comes back to his girlfriend's apartment and lives there and starts pissing her off because his whole idea is she can't get past me. So if I remind her of all the things that I did that she didn't like, she'll finally be able to move on. And it just sort of reminded me of that when Nick starts seeing all of these things that Daniela does that he doesn't like. And then he's like, fuck that. You don't remember, what's her face at all. And now I can't remember the girlfriend's name, even though you've said it like Teresa, you've said it like a million times. So this bugged me. I did like some of the photography, although at the same time I thought it was kind of cheap. I mean, is this kind of
weird in places?
A film school trick that's really irritating? Yeah, it's like when you're in film school, like at some point, half of your classmates do a movie where half of it's in black and white and half of it's in color, like they just saw The Wizard of Oz the day before. And it's like the only thing in the 90s that you could do because we couldn't like use opticals to make special effects because it took too much time and it was too expensive. So they'd just be like, now the movie's in color because this is different. And it just is like, hey, look at this. It looks like VHS because blah, 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 blah. I'm being really unkind to this movie. I apologize. First thing I've said the whole show, and it's just like, fuck this, so I don't know. Am I wrong? Somebody else tell me. I don't know. Evan, am I wrong?
No, okay. I don't think you're wrong. I found this a difficult watch. Partially, like you said, due to the just totally unsympathetic main character who, as he starts to tighten his grip on Daniela, just becomes more and more of a prick and just like a gross, controlling, jealous, petty man. He represents like the worst qualities of men, and so that's tough. I found the swapping between aspect ratios and the dream world and reality, I guess I'll put in air quotes because who the heck knows what's real and what's not sometimes in movies like this, to be very jarring. And it felt like there were just like moments that felt like jump cuts where it was like really erratic and kind of like throwing you in and out of the different areas. And yeah, it just felt long and slow. And I also was like, toward the end, I was like kind of not paying as close attention until the very end where I was kind of like, huh, did he did he like somehow make himself disappear from existence? Did he like give her existence and cause himself to disappear? Or like what the heck happened there? I was kind of scratching my head and I was like, well, that's the one thing I was like paying attention to. And like the whole last act is the very end, because it just was like, whoa, okay, what happened here? So no, I don't think you're wrong, Dave.
Thank you very much. How about you, Megan?
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I just have a different kind of opinion. I actually weirdly liked this, and I say weirdly because it's got issues. It's got some major flaws, and the aspect ratio changing, I get why they did it. I do, but it's so on the nose. Like, oh, it looks shitty. He feels shitty. Like, it's like, okay. And there are films that change aspect ratio and I think do it quite well. Like Sinners does it in IMAX and that changes aspect ratio. And I think it does it really, really well. And it feels appropriate in the way it's changing, but it still always looks beautiful. And so I get why they did it. I don't think it was the right choice though. Nick is a douchebag. He's terrible. Having said that though, I got to tell you, the majority, maybe not the majority, I'm going to go with the majority. I'm going to say something hyperbolic. The majority of male characters on screen in film and TV are shitty. And so often audiences are just like, yeah, I'm going to go on this journey with them. And in a way that like women characters aren't often afforded. So I agree. He's a douche. I don't know if he's a bigger douche than other characters. Probably, yes. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting desensitized to all the douchebags out there. Hopefully not, but maybe. Or maybe I just like Henry Golding, because I agree with you, Dave. I used to think he was a terrible actor, like terrible. And I don't know, he's kind of wormed his way where I'm like, I don't think he's terrible. I think he's all right. And I think he weirdly has a charm here. And maybe it's because of his kind of breakdown where he's like unglued and he's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like so distraught. Maybe that worked for me. I'm not sure. But like I said, this is wildly flawed. I think the biggest flaw is Nick and Daniela. We only ever see the relationship through his eyes, very much like 500 Days of Summer, which I read a review on Letterboxd that talked about that too. And I was like, yes, 500 Days of Summer, which speaks to what you were saying, Dave, about it being derivative, because yes, it definitely is Ruby Sparks-esque, definitely Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I also very much got her vibes. And so it definitely feels like all of that. But yeah, I really wish we could have gotten more of Daniela, but at the same time, I do find it interesting. And I found it somewhat compelling that Daniela's personality, like her queerness, her aspirations, her frustrations, they're seeping through his dreaming and his reality, even though he's trying to control her. So I found that really refreshing and really compelling, that facet of it. But I just don't think Henry Golding and the actress who plays Daniela have really great chemistry. Like, I don't really believe that I don't believe that they're a real couple. She had way more chemistry with Teresa than she did with Nick. So, and maybe that's why at the end they end up together. And I do think what's fascinating, though, about the ending is that all three of us have a different interpretation of what happened. Because what I think happened, possibly because I'm watching this and I'm like, yeah, I think this is what happened, but I'm not confident in it. But what I took away was he had said earlier to Daniela, like, oh, I know you're real. You're becoming real. You're real. And so I think he let her be real without him. So he still exists in the real world, whatever that is. And she also exists separately and has kind of her own life, sort of. But I think both of you have made really compelling arguments for what happened. And I think listening to you both, I'm like, yep, that could have happened. Yep, that could be what happened. And I do like the ambiguity of that, especially because dreams are so weird and ambiguous a lot of times. So I appreciate that. So I liked this, but I think it's messy. I think it's very messy. I do like Nacho Vigalondo, though. I love Colossal. Love that movie so much. So yeah, maybe that's why this worked more for me. I don't know.
Okay. You raised a good point, though, about the fact that it's his world, but he still can't control her.
Yes.
Like, ultimately, like, that was, I thought, one of the fascinating things is that her aspects of her persona were so strong that even he could not tamp them down. Like, he couldn't control her. And that was fascinating. That was like the one fascinating thing to me, is that she still managed to have like agency in this world and was able to like break free and to do some of her own things, despite the fact that and especially like when he tries to make her forget Teresa, and then they go to the art opening and Teresa is still somehow there, like in his world, like he somehow couldn't stop that from happening.
Yep. I know. And she's like, Daniela, why didn't you tell me about this? And she's like, who are you? And it's like, it's so sad. But I love that too. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is messy and flawed, but I enjoyed what it was doing, even if it did it messily. But I can totally understand and totally see what you guys are saying and why it didn't work for you. I completely get that too. It's that kind of movie where I'm like, oh, you didn't like it? Totally get it. You kind of feel about it? Totally get it. Oh, you love it? Get that too. Maybe not the love, but really liking it. I get that.
Didn't mind it. Got it.
Yeah, I get it. I feel like any reaction for the film, I'm like, oh, yep, I get that. I understand that. Yeah, but I do wish it had kind of leaned into certain things more, like her agency, because that is such a compelling piece of this.
I wish it had leaned into being better.
Oh, burn.
Zing!
Boo. Bullseye. Yeah, I get what they're doing, but I think that double aspect ratio really, I think it hindered it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have
a different aspect ratio? It means it's a different person.
Okay, Bikini Inspector.
That was the Bikini Inspector's even more
ratios.
loony cousin.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on this?
Nah.
No.
I have one more thought. I love that this was set in Madrid and filmed in Madrid because Madrid is my favorite city in the entire world. And so seeing these streets, I'm like, I've been there. Like they filmed on the Gran Via. I've been there. They filmed at the Temple of Debad, which I've been to. Parque de la Montaña, which is my favorite spot in the whole city. Like it was just so exciting to see all of that. And Madrid is such a beautiful city. So that was, for me, an extreme treat. I was utterly delighted because it is so great. I love it.
Well, I've never been, but it did make a very picturesque place for his dream world.
Yeah. The architecture is just stunning. It's gorgeous. Oh, love it. Yeah. And there's so many parks and they're so beautiful. Anyway, it's great. All right. Let's do a recap. So I know what you did last summer is playing in theaters now as of July 18th. Evan, would you recommend it?
I would say only for completionists. It's kind of like, otherwise. Maybe if they do another one with Brandy and Jennifer Love Hewitt, see that one.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm going to see it this weekend anyway, but if I was like, nah, I'm not seeing it, that post-credit scene, that might have spoiler pieced me into it. I don't know if I've ever, right? I don't know if I've ever gotten to see a movie because of the post-credit scene, but that sold it. So I'm delighted you said that. Yeah. All right. Unicorns is in select theaters July 18th and it expands July 25th. Evan, would you recommend it?
Yes, that's an enthusiastic yes.
I would also recommend it. And Daniela Forever is in theaters as of July 11th, and it's on VOD as of July 22nd. I think I can say you guys would probably not recommend it.
No.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't see it.
I actually would give a lukewarm, tepid recommend because, like I said, it worked for me. I don't think it's going to work for everybody. I don't even know if it's going to work for most people. Probably not. But, so it's a very tepid see it because I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's got issues, as we've discussed. All right. Well, we want to give a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you so much for making us sound great each week.
Thank you, Otto.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. You can find us at our website, spoilerpiece.com. You can find us all over the place on social media. We're at Spoiler Piece on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Letterboxd, Blue Sky. Come say hello. Come follow us. Let us know which of these movies did you enjoy the most? Which are you most interested in seeing? Or if you didn't like them, let us know that too. We like hearing that. And if you really like the show. Oh, before I get to really liking the show, and speaking of reaching out to us, you can email us, spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can give us a call
at 862-21-PEACE.
Leave us a voicemail message, text us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. And if you really like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us. That helps us get the word out about the show. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece to take you to preferred platform of choice. Or you can just rate us directly on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And speaking of liking the show, you can get our merch at our website. It will take you to our T Public store where you can get all kinds of goodies like pillows, hoodies, tote bags, mugs, magnets, all that good stuff. And if you're not a patron, consider joining. For $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes, as well as our back catalog of hundreds of bonus episodes, and you get to vote in monthly polls. And for this week's bonus episode, we talked about the original 1997, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was a fun time. Great conversation.
Mhm.
And yeah, and thank you to our patrons, and thank you to our listeners. My name is Megan Kearns. I write for Edge Media Network and In Session Film. I'm co-host of the Slashers podcast, member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
My name is Dave Riedel. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm on all the social medias as Dave Sees Movies, except Blue Sky, where I'm David Riedel.
And my name's Evan Crean, co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of Your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.